All right, today we are diving deep into one of the most, I think, elegant ideas in all of machine learning, regularization. You've probably heard the term, but it's more than just a knob you turn. It's really the key to understanding the difference between a model that just memorizes answers and one that actually learns. We're going to go on a journey from the surface-level intuition all the way down to the deep math to see how a simple constraint unlocks a model's ability to generalize.
So first things first, we have to understand the problem we're trying to solve. And I like to call it the paradox of performance. It's this frustrating thing where you train a model, you give it thousands of examples, and its score on that training data is like 99.9% perfect. You think you've nailed it. But then you show it a brand new picture, something it's never seen before, and it completely bombs. This huge gap between how it does on stuff it's seen versus stuff it hasn't, that's what we call the overfitting gap. And that's the central mystery we need to solve today. So what exactly is overfitting? Well, the best analogy is studying for a test. You could get the answer key to a practice exam and just memorize every single answer to every single question, right? You'd even memorize the typos. You would get a perfect score on that practice test, no doubt. But have you actually learned the subject? Of course not. The moment you see a new question, you're lost. Overfitting is the exact same thing for a machine. The model doesn't learn the real pattern, the signal. It just memorizes all the random quirks and noise in the data it was trained on.
Which, of course, leads to the big question. How do we do it? How do we stop our models from just being lazy memorizers and actually push them toward a real understanding? How do we get them to generalize? Well, the answer is, at least in concept, surprisingly simple. We intervene. We literally change the model's goals. We do that by adding a penalty for being too complex.
Okay, so here's how we change the rules of the game for the model. On the left, you've got the data term. This is the model's original goal. Just be as accurate as you possibly can on the training data. But now, we're adding something new to the equation, this penalty term. You can think of it as a little voice that's constantly fighting against the first one, punishing the model anytime it tries to get too complicated. And that little alpha symbol there, that's our control knob. It's a dial we can turn up or down to decide exactly how much we care about simplicity versus raw accuracy.
So the model is now caught in this constant balancing act. It's a tug of war. It can't just find some ridiculously complex solution that perfectly fits every little noisy data point anymore. It's now being forced to find a solution that's not only accurate, but also simple. It's a fundamental trade-off. So what does this simplicity penalty actually look like in practice? Well, for this explainer, we're going to focus on the most common one, which is called the L2 norm. And it sounds fancy, but it's really not. It's just the sum of the squared values of all the weights in the model. That's it. So if you have a bunch of large weights, you get a big penalty. If your weights are small, the penalty is small. The model is now directly incentivized to keep its weights as small and as close to zero as possible. Okay, so we've added a penalty. But what does that actually do when the model is training? Step by step. Let's peel back the cover and look at the direct mechanical effect this has on how the model learns. Let's just follow the math for a second. It's pretty cool. In step 1, when we take the gradient of our new loss function, our penalty term just adds this simple new piece to the equation. No big deal. Then in step 2, we plug that into our normal update rule for gradient descent. But the real magic, the aha moment, happens in step 3 when we just rearrange the terms. Look at that. You see that extra factor multiplying the weight? The one that says 1 minus eta times alpha? That little piece right there, that's the entire key. And this just perfectly captures the core mechanism. At every single step of training, before the model even calculates the main gradient from the data, the very first thing it does is it shrinks all of its weights by this small factor. This is exactly why L2 regularization is so often called weight decay. It's this constant, gentle little pull on every single weight, always nudging it back towards zero. But hold on a second. I know what you're thinking. If we're shrinking all the weights, isn't that a little, crude? How on earth does the model know the difference between a weight that represents a really important pattern and a weight that just latched onto some random noise? To answer that question, we have to go way deeper. So yeah, we need to put this whole process under a microscope. We're going to move past the simple mechanics and explore the actual shape, the geometry of the loss function itself, because that's where the really profound principle is at work. So I want you to imagine the loss function as a kind of landscape, and the model's job is to find the absolute lowest point in that landscape. Now, near the best solution, this landscape usually looks kind of like a big bowl.
The Hessian Matrix, don't let the name scare you, it's just a mathematical tool that describes the exact shape of that bowl. It tells us which directions are really steep and which are almost perfectly flat. And that curvature, that is the secret we've been looking for.
Now, looking at this bowl from just any random angle can be super confusing. So we use this really powerful technique called eigendecomposition to simplify our view. You can think of it like grabbing the bowl and rotating it until we find its natural axes. The directions where it's steepest and the directions where it's flattest. By looking at the problem from this new, much simpler perspective, we can finally see what's really going on. And when we plug that simplified view back into our math, we get this, the rescaling equation. This, my friends, is the master formula we've been hunting for. It shows us exactly what L2 regularization is doing under the hood. It's a three-step dance. First, it rotates the weights to line up with those simple axes. Second, it scales them. And this is the critical part. This is where the magic happens. Then, it just rotates them back. The whole secret is hidden inside that one scaling operation. So what is it? What is this big secret hidden inside that scaling operation? This is the moment. This is the climax of our investigation where all those different pieces finally snap together. Okay, look at the scaling factor. It's that eigenvalue, lambda, divided by lambda plus alpha. So let's look at two cases. Case 1, a direction with really high curvature. That means it has a large eigenvalue, a large lambda. This represents a strong, important pattern in the data, a true signal. In this case, that scaling factor is super close to 1. The weight is barely touched, it's preserved. Now case 2, a direction with really low curvature, a flat part of our bowl. This represents noise or some unimportant feature. Here, the eigenvalue lambda is tiny, so the scaling factor is really close to 0. And what happens? The weight gets crushed. It's pushed right down towards 0. So, here's the crucial point. L2 regularization isn't some clumsy hammer that just blindly shrinks everything. No way. It's an incredibly sophisticated and intelligent filter. It automatically figures out which directions in the data are just noise and powerfully suppresses them, while at the same time it preserves the directions that represent the true underlying signal. It's amazing.
Let's make this super concrete. Imagine we're trying to predict house prices. Features like square footage or number of bedrooms, those are strong signals. They create really steep curvature in our loss function. The L2 filter sees that and says, yep, you're important, and lets them pass through. But what about features like recent market buzz or just some other random noise? Those are weak signals. They create flat directions. The L2 filter catches them and shrinks their weights down to almost nothing, effectively telling the model, hey, ignore this stuff, it's just a distraction.
So, let's just quickly recap the journey we've been on. We started with a simple intuition. Hey, let's add a penalty to stop the model from getting too complex. Then, we saw the mechanism in action, this weight decay that shrinks the weights at every single step. And finally, we uncovered the deep geometric reason why it works. Regularization is actually rescaling weights based on the curvature of the loss landscape, which intelligently preserves the signal and filters out the noise. And this brings us all the way back to our original problem, those loss curves. By adding this incredibly smart constraint, we stop that validation loss from shooting up to the moon. We find that sweet spot, that optimal balance. We stop the model from just memorizing the noise in the training set, and we force it, we guide it to learn the true generalizable structure underneath. So in the end, regularization is all about this beautiful trade-off. We purposefully give up on being absolutely perfect on the things we've already seen in exchange for being much, much more robust and effective on the things we haven't. It's the art of generalization. And it really makes you wonder, if this kind of trade-off between perfection and robustness is so fundamental to making machines learn, what does that tell us about the nature of intelligence itself?